Good day, it is Althea from the Bible in 1 year. Today we spend time in Psalm 95, missing the appointed place of rest. The psalmist calls us in verses 1 and 2 to join in worshiping God with loud, enthusiasm, joyful songs of worship, with thanksgiving to God, the rock of our salvation. We need to have a real spiritual connection with God, to know that God is present, listening attentively to our worship and enjoying it immensely. We are created for God's glory, created to worship Him. Isaiah 43 verse 7, everyone who is called by name, whom I have created for my glory, whom I have formed, even whom I have made. The rock of my salvation has a twofold meaning. First, from what the Word teaches us about who God is. God, the unwavering strength and reliability. Anything else might fail, but God will not fail us. Psalm 18 verse 2 read, "The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and the one who rescues me. My God, my rock, and strength in whom I trust and take refuge. My shield and the horn of my salvation, my high tower, my stronghold." Hebrews 13 verse 5 read, "Being content with what you have, for he had said, I will never under any circumstances desert you, nor give you up, nor leave you without support, nor will I in any degree leave you helpless, nor will I forsake you, or let you down, or relax my hold on you. Assuredly not." Secondly, from the firm foundation on which we build our trust from personal experience. The title Great God, Great King in verse 3 belongs to God only. No other God has this title. We should have this kind of respect for God, following, obeying, and honoring Him as the one and only great God and King. The one who created the earth, the seas, and us. He owns us. He has a claim on us. Therefore, we need to stop thinking so high of ourselves and to worship, to bow down, lower, and humble ourselves before Him in reverent praise and prayer in verses 4 to 7. God led Israel out of Egypt to the promised land of milk and honey, the promise of provision and rest. God will care for His people like a shepherd cares for the sheep. The same hand that created us and everything else will care and protect us. In verses 8 and 9, He gives us a warning not to become like Israel, who hardened their hearts at Meribah, the place of strife, and Massah, the place of testing. Exodus 17, Numeri 20, and Deuteronomy 6. Israel rejected their master, tried and tested him while they saw with their own eyes the works of the master in the desert, protecting and providing for them. In verse 10, God says, "For 40 years they grieved and discussed me. They did not acknowledge or regard my ways." God needs us to hear and obey His voice. Hebrews 3 verse 10, "Therefore I was angered with this generation, and I said, they always go astray in their hearts, and they did not know my ways, nor become progressively better and more intimately acquainted with Him." Hebrews 4 verse 6, "Therefore, since the promise remained for some to enter His rest, and those who formerly had the good news preached to them failed to grasp it, and did not enter because of their unbelief evidenced by disobedience." He again sets a definite day, a new day, providing another opportunity to enter that rest. By today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts. Israel camped a year at Mount Sinai in preparation for the promised land. Here they received the commandments, they built a tabernacle and organized into ranks. They sent spies into Canaan to establish the plan for taking in the promised land. Here again, Israel hardened their hearts against God, refusing to trust Him to give them the land as promised. They provoked God's anger, and God had to let this generation of unbelievers to perish in order that the new trusting generation can obey and follow Him into the promised land. A hardened, unbelieving heart will lead you to experience God's wrath, but a tender, surrendered heart will lead you to the place of rest, the promised land. A tender heart inclined to hear and obey God's voice will act in faith, having a spiritual connection with God. True worship leads us to surrender our ways to God's ways. If our hearts wanders off and goes astray, so we will wander off away from God. But if we keep close by, listening, we will know the shepherd's voice. The shepherd will lead us to a place of rest. May you be blessed. Goodbye.